Hello and welcome back to the Davis on Davis podcast. For the first time we're leaving Manchester to watch Mine All Mine, which is set in Bridgend. And Owen's back. Isn't that nice?
Thank you, Louis, for introducing me with your real accent for once. It's nice that you finally feel the courage to use it on the podcast.
Yeah, I really feel like you've really embraced the spirit of Mine All Mine, taking us into such beautifully Welsh territory here.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you're both joining me to go on this journey into my family heartland of. Wait a second, this isn't Bridgend. Sorry, it's Swansea. I scratched that. My family is not from Swansea.
Yeah, it feels weird that we're going to be talking about something that's so not in Manchester that all my local knowledge has evaporated, and I really don't actually see the point of me being here.
My local knowledge for Wales is confined almost entirely to Cardiff, which is where my dad's family was from. So I'm also going to be pretty useless for this one.
Yeah. Cardiff is pretty different to the rest of South Wales in that it has people in it.
And that's a real location that exists.
I suppose, though, you'll both having Welsh blood running through your body and Welsh people in your family. You might relate to some of the Welsh family antics of this episode.
True, maybe. Well, the Mumbles, it's definitely Russell. So doesn't he still live there?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe he grew up in the neighbourhood close to Mumbles that's not as posh, and now he lives in Mumbles, so climbing the social ladder of Swansea.
If you watch there's the Imagine documentary on iPlayer. I don't know if either of you have.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
There's a moment where, for the listener who may not have seen that documentary, there's a moment where he takes Alan Yentob out of his house and points over to the other side of the water where he grew up and said, and my entire life we looked over to the Mumbles and thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice to live there? And look at me now. A true rags to riches story.
When you think about Russell is the real owner of Swansea now in a more sort of metaphorical sense.
He must be the most famous person living within its borders, you know.
Definitely the most famous person in the Mumbles, Swansea.
I was going to say, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, congratulations to Russell.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, I can ask you both this because, okay, so Zac, since the last time we recorded, have you done anything interesting?
Have I done anything interesting? I am right in the midst of actually directing my very first short film, which I'm shooting next week. So I have basically spent 100% of my brain power, which I don't normally do. I don't actually think that's physically possible anyway. But I've been using as much as I can to finish the script and get ready to direct it, been casting it. So that's sort of taking up 100% of my brain.
Wow, that's so cool.
This is a nice relief.
Did you have anyone editing it?
I'm going to be editing it, basically.
Okay. That's fine,
so I need to, at the moment, I'm teaching myself how to direct and everything there is to know about cinematography because I realise I don't know anything. And then once we've finished shooting, I'm going to teach myself how to edit and basically read a book.
Okay, well, if you need any help with editing, hit me up because I can reveal that I have literally helped a pretty popular train YouTuber edit an upcoming video.
Oh, wow. Exclusive.
Whoa.
Yeah, it hasn't come out yet as time recording, but I think I can divulge that much.
Nice.
Wow.
I was hoping you would say someone else was editing it so I could make like a joke about being like jealous as if you'd sort of cheated on me because I...
Yeah, Louis, we didn't know how to tell you this, but I'm editing the short film.
No, theoretically, it's my final project for my master's. So technically, I'm supposed to be learning things whilst doing it.
Okay.
So I can write a dissertation about it. So I'm going to learn basically everything.
Oh, good luck.
Thank you. I'm going to need it.
You haven't edited before, or?
I have. I've put clips together.
I know because you've done it for this podcast.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, exactly.
And Owen, what have you done since the last time we recorded? Or you recorded with us?
Oh, it's actually I've gone proper full time now. So I'm now a social video journalist for Metro, which for those who don't know is it's like a London-based newspaper, but I'm for like the website. So I'd making like TikTok and YouTube stuff still, but for video games.
Whoa!
Oh, sick.
Talking about I'll do a proper plug later. It feels gauche to do it right at the start before we even started talking about the episode. But yeah, so that's what I've been up to. I'm proper professional social media person now.
That's super. Whoa! I bow to your full-time jobness.
I know. I bow to your short film. I'd love to do that kind of thing. Seriously, Send it to me.
Well,
when you finished advanced screening.
When it's done, and if it's any good, because that's my fear. What if it's awful? But no, it should be fine. I'm gonna get my head down as soon as we say goodbye today. I'm straight back in the books, learning how to do soft lighting so that people don't have ugly shadows on their faces.
I've never learned how to do that in all my years of like filming and editing. Just hope at this point the camera, hope for the best.
Just make sure the light is behind you or in front of you, whichever one's right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's in front. Yeah,
as opposed to, I mean, I know this is an audio only podcast, but for exactly split down one side of my face at the moment because my window's over there.
It's moody.
Yeah,
it's moody.
It's like, well, Zac, you've got it in front of you. Louis, you've got it behind you, and I've got sort of in between. I've got the split, so we're really running the gamut of lighting techniques.
I think my camera, if I lean too close to it, I just go very pale, even though I am already very terrible.
If I go like this, there you go. It looks like I'm going to heaven.
One always lies, one always tells the truth, one flips a coin.
Yeah, id, ego, and superego for our Freudian listeners.
Yes. So was editing and I realized that I completely switched around id and superego.
I always do, yeah.
I made a joke about superego when I should have said id. But superego sounded better as a word to say, so I don't regret it actually. It's dumb anyway.
You're gonna get hate from all the Freud and Jung fans who are also fans of Mine or Mine. I'm sure there are many.
Yes. Yeah.
Louis, have you done anything interesting since we last met?
Yes, I had to explain to my lesbian aunt what compet was, which really didn't feel right. I was like, how am I the one explaining this to you? Like, it's because at a bit of a family function with far too much alcohol, some music. I was adding some music to a playlist, and so I stuck on a bit of Chapel Roan.
I was going to ask if Chapel had anything to do with it.
Yeah, and so when I was describing her, I said, "Oh yes, it's really good. There's a lot of really good sort of influences in her music, but also then she sings about a lot of really interesting topics around queerness and compet and all that." And they were like, "What's compet?" And I was like, how do you not know? I put this on because she's, a lesbian and you might relate to aspects of that. But, anyway, it was funny. It was a fun time.
There's no way to, come across that doesn't sound like mansplaining, even if you're doing your best.
Yes.
I've got a funny story that similar. So Pip, my good friend Pip, who was the guest on the previous episode of the Davis podcast.
Yes, she didn't know about the phrase no ethical consumption under capitalism.
Oh, really?
She also learned something very new. She's just started a new job working as a logistics operations person. I don't know the exact title, for the Manchester Pride Festival. So she's now working in a completely 100% queer office. And I went and had lunch with her the other day, and she said, "Zac, I'm so sorry. I just learned what Twinkdeath was." And she says, I'm so sorry that you have to go through this.
Wow. Such an ally to the twink community.
Yeah, the second you turn 26.
Oh yeah, no, I'm 27. It's already happened.
When this goes out, I'll be 24.
Oh, wow. So I can't be on a podcast with toddlers, I'm afraid. I have to leave.
Speaking of Twinkdeath, should we dive into Mine or Mine?
Are you saying that because the actor playing the kid looks way too old to be 15?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm more thinking, my thought was there's very little, this is not LGBT themed television, but neither was The Second Coming really, apart from that one moment. So we are past the gay era.
Yeah.
It does feel like he's getting a bit more mainstream now, yeah. He's hit the big time with this one.
Mine or Mine is not relevant in the conversation of popular RTD stuff.
This is an obscure show. It's sort of a comedy drama. I think there's a lot of comedy in this, I would say. Certainly more lighthearted than something like Bob and Rose, which sort of delved into more things.
Definitely. I think it's getting into sitcom territory at certain points.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
Big characters. And I mean, the premise is I guess we haven't really discussed the premise yet, but it's inherently quite silly.
Yeah. It's the hour-long sitcom, which I normally don't agree with because I feel like it ruins pacing. But this show actually has good pacing. So there you go. Gets my seal of approval.
It has very good pacing. I think it has better pacing than Bob and Rose, controversially. Ooh. I don't know if that's controversial.
Interesting.
See, Zac is going a bit stone-faced right now to hide his tumultuous emotions, but I think I'm more open to that.
I will leave my opinion until we finish the show, and I'll dive in whether or not I believe the pacing's any good. I think we're back Murray Gold again, who we had for We've had for everything so far since Queer as Folk, haven't we?
I didn't realise it was Murray Gold for this as well.
The music really adds to that sitcom flavour and the pacing. And there's some fantastic moments where there's characters running around and it's all going crazy and you just think, wow, this is hectic comedy. Given that I'm talking about music, let me just talk about the new theme music that we've got, because we've got a new show, so we've got a new theme tune. I thought it sounded like one of those Disney Channel original animated series that you'd get in the late 2000s, early 2010s. A bit like Gravity Falls. There was one with some fish at one point, I don't remember.
Okay.
That's what it felt like to me.
I can hear that, yeah.
I feel like it might be a sort of normie take to say that it sounds like Benny Hill.
Yeah.
It's definitely very like frenetic. It was giving like sitcom intro.
Yeah.
It was giving like...
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it was giving the mid-2000s sitcom intro.
Yeah, because the thing is, so I change the theme music to this podcast every series to sort of parallel the show. But for the second coming, I changed it to stereotypically Italian music because of the involvement of the Vatican in the program. And so I'm thinking for this... Because like I couldn't quite find what I was originally looking for, which I shit you not, microtonal music. I couldn't find any royalty-free microtonal music.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, but this one, I don't think I'm going to have a hard time finding some goofy kazoo music to stick on the front of this podcast.
I thought you were going to get some Welsh choir music to celebrate our move to Wales, move to Swansea.
No, I'm sure you can find that pretty quickly.
Oh no, yeah, I should do a royalty-free version of the national anthem.
Oh yeah,
which,
of course.
funnily enough,
wow,
I have on my desk.
Oh really? Wow, I'm not that Welsh. I haven't got anything Welsh.
Look, I picked it up from my grand's house after her death when everyone was stripping the place dry. So
oh, nice. No, my nan doesn't have anything.
It just sort of fell into my hands.
You should do your own rendition, then it's definitely royalty free if it's your rendition of the national anthem.
My hand will add me. Yeah,
I know the tune. I don't know the words.
Well, luckily I can read them.
I know like bits and pieces of Welsh.
I know that the F on its own is a V sound.
Yeah, and we know what the double L sounds like thanks to this show.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
Heterodoxy, yeah. So, speaking of something that happens in the episode, let's get to... Oh yeah, also the intro, they're on like a set.
A soundstage, yeah.
A soundstage that's like a beach. I guess to imply that they've suddenly fallen into a great fortune and could buy an island. I think that's the implication.
It feels very soapy to me because they all sort of line up at the end and it says Mine or Mine, created by Russell T Davies. It felt like I was watching Neighbours.
True, or like, it was giving like Hollyoaks or something.
I was saying it's better than we've had weird graphics since Queer as Folk, and I was like, oh, someone's actually put some money into an intro sequence. And then the second the title sequence ends, it's that weird lens flare thing exactly which we had for Queer as Folk to transition into Swansea Station.
Yes, where better to start than a train station?
It's really saying, we're not in England anymore. We're not in Manchester. We have moved. We've got on a train.
But the character is new to this setting. So we're being taken into the world of Swansea.
Via the train station.
So a man gets into a taxi and asks for the Mumbles. He says it's a funny place name. Immediately, a woman gets in. Her name is Maria. We find that out later. And she just starts surveying him on his passenger experience using this taxi service.
You immediately feel that Russell has like some long-standing beef about people saying that the Mumbles is a funny neighborhood name. It's like the first few minutes of the show is like entirely him airing his grievances out at English people talking about Wales, it feels like.
That's an English word,
I know, he should have called it Abertawe if it was a real one.
Yeah.
I wonder why the Mumbles is called the Mumbles because the English thought everyone was mumbling.
Maybe.
It might be an old docking term.
Docking? We're not on Queer as Folk anymore.
That popped into my head the second after I said it. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, so they're in the taxi and she's like doing a set. I had a journey with the actress who interviews because I was like, oh, I recognise her from Doctor Who, and then I went to her IMDb and I was like, no, I don't recognise her from Skins. And then I looked through and I was like, no, she is also in Doctor Who. She's in the tree episode.
Oh, the tree episode.
The Capaldi tree one.
Oh, the Capaldi tree episode. Yeah.
What blocks from my memory?
Yeah, me too.
For some reason, I jumped straight to End of the World.
Yeah, fair.
Like, oh yeah, the trees in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's also in some Welsh language stuff.
She's done a lot.
She was
of
in
Welsh
2
stuff.
episodes of Pobly Cwm.
I think she is one of those Welsh actors that has firmly stayed and stayed true to herself and done lots of Welsh television.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Given that we've mentioned it, I've just looked up the etymology of the word mumbles, and it's relating to the headlands that you'll find near the mumbles, which they think it's a corruption of the French les mamelles, meaning the breasts. So it's a funny name.
Okay, fair.
So he gets a taxi to Boob City, population 2.
Titland.
And there's sort of, we don't know who this man is, why he's going there, and why this woman is sort of surveying him and asking him, like, where are you going? He says, I'm going to 65 Bevan Road. She asks, how much was your train fare? He's like, I got £136 for a first class ticket.
Bloody hell, I wish.
136 to be able to look at the train these days, let alone get on it.
I know.
Yeah.
Especially London to Swansea for 136, bargain.
Was it nice first class? Did we give you champagne? Did we give you prawn cocktail?
I know. God, these days, what? It would be GWR, wouldn't it? It'd probably break halfway through.
You've met the Spanish Inquisition. This is the Welsh Inquisition. But sorry, that's probably very racist of me.
It's extremely racist.
It's xenophobic at best.
Yeah, me and Louis combined can definitely give you the Welsh xenophobia pass for the duration of this podcast episode.
Oh, great, because I've got some things to say. No, I haven't.
Yeah, go off.
Oh, God, yeah, no, like, I watched 73 Yards, and I was like, why have I been hyping up my heritage so much? Welsh people suck.
Well, I was going to say, there will come a point where I'm going to reference 73 Yards, because I feel like there's a reused joke. There is a reused joke in Mine on Mine, because I think, as Owen suggested, there is this pent-up, he spent so long in England, it's time to let loose about what English people feel about Wales.
Yeah, and like, he was in North England. They're supposed to be slightly more chill. Then again, he was also in Oxford, so...
Oh yeah, true. He went to that.
Yeah.
He went to Oxford University. Yeah, I would also hate English people if that happened to me.
Imagine. So we finally found out why Maria is giving the Welsh Inquisition to this English dude. And it turns out that 65 Bevan Road is her house, or more properly, her parents' house. I mean, she lives with her parents, but he is off to see this woman's dad, who is called Max Vivaldi, who is, we haven't actually again mentioned the premise of the show is about a man who discovers that he owns Swansea, and he is the man in question, and we're going to find out how that comes to be. But why has he brought this man to his house, paid a lot of money for a first class ticket, put him in a taxi and taken him to his house? And when we get there, oh my gosh, absolute chaos is happening at the house. And someone's asked to describe it because it's too much for me.
He is currently trying to run a taxi service using a radio he bought. He's doing that in his shed, and he walks back through the garden into his house. The neighbour is trying to shout at him across the wall to like look at a petition that his neighbours have signed. So clearly he's not popular. He tells his daughter, who's shouting out the window, to put some clothes on because she's just in a bra. He says, like, you're naked. She's like, no, I'm not. Takes her bra down. This is naked. The neighbour's looking, and he's like, stop looking at her. He then goes into the house, and the family are arguing. She's looking for her linen. She's looking for her linen, and everyone's like, what colour? And she says linen, and they're like, no, linen is multiple colours. What colour is... She's like, linen colour.
We should mention as well for sitcom fans, this is Stacey from Gavin and Stacey, and it's Joanna Page.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Yeah. She's playing Candy, whose one character trait is that she can't think.
Yes.
She's stupid.
It does feel like everyone else is in kind of like sort of more comedy, more drama kind of thing, and then every time they come back to Candy, she's in like a full-on Arrested Development plotline. Like
yes.
she's like completely a sitcom character where everyone else there's like a little bit of grounding to them sometimes.
No, yeah, she is zero grounding. There are some great moments where she's recounting an anecdote, and like there's always like a very defined kind of punchline. It's kind of, it's for like pure sitcom.
So we've met Max, who's the father of the house, he's got all these harebrained schemes, his current one being running a taxi service. We've got Candy, who is thick. We then got the son. His name is, did anyone catch the son's name?
Leo,
we learn his character trait is he's gay.
His character trait is people call him gay.
I thought people say, I suppose, yes, we never actually see.
Because they say you're so gay. And as Hilary Duff said, when you say something is so gay, you're saying it's bad.
Yeah.
And that's bad.
And he's also running like some kind of electronics ring or something like that. I didn't quite get what was going on there.
There is a single scene where we see him suddenly like running stuff and being the most competent person in the room and being the one character who can sort of evaluate the real value of some electronic technology. But that happens and it's never mentioned, and I'm sure it'll come back in future episodes.
Yeah.
But it's so out of place.
Yeah. He's like goes to like a proper warehouse and there's like people working for him, and I was so confused because I was like, isn't this like a child?
Yeah.
Well, there is that he is 15, and then whilst he's telling people what to do, and then he says, "Right, no one disturb me. I've got to go do my homework."
There's a lot of characters in this, and if you look at the IMDb, you see like the number of characters who are actually in every episode. Quite simply, there's a lot of random people in episode 1 who I'm sure will get stuff to do later on, but there's just no time.
And actually, it's really, this episode is so much fun because one of the things RTD does best in the writing is coming up with characters, and we just have so many characters thrown at you that this was actually, I sat down and go, actually, I'm really excited to have a brand new show because it's all meeting new characters is the best thing he does. Wrapping them up sometimes is where he fails. So actually episode 1 is always the funnest place to start.
So we're going to mention 73 Yards. We're going to bring it round to Empire of Death.
I would never
criticize an RTD wrap up.
You look at how he wrapped up 73 Yards even, you know.
Russell always has perfect endings.
I won't have this slander.
Never in his life has he ever kind of flubbed it at the end.
I just wish Ruby had more agency. That's all.
There's one, speaking of agency, female agency, there's one more character in the house, and it's the mum, and I believe her name is Val.
Her name is Val. If Candy is 100% sitcom, she is 0% sitcom.
She's in like a kitchen sink drama, like quite... probably the grittiest plot line.
Yeah.
No, her plot line is dire.
It's soapy, I think. It's real soap drama. Val Vivaldi, what a name.
And she married into that as well.
No, yeah. I was going to say, and she accepted that, thrust upon her in adulthood. Well, just about.
I would have double-barreled it at least. Oh yeah, they say she's like a child, or she was like 18.
She married at 18, and so her mum at one point calls her a child bride. Which, hey, your brain isn't developed until you're 25, so she makes a point, but it is a bit jarring as a line.
Wow, Mr. Vivaldi cancelled.
Yes, the show was cancelled. It hasn't been on since 2004.
Oh, true. But did it get cancelled or did it just end?
It just ended.
For the days of just like a mini series.
We've met the family, and so now our Englishman stands outside the door, and his name is Danny. I think we'll agree his name is Danny.
Yes.
Again,
yes.
Classic first episode of an RTD episode. I'm really just coming up with nicknames in my notes for all these people. He was just the English dude.
Danny Babystock. Yeah. In my notes before I changed it to Danny, it was just the auctioneer, which I know he's not an auctioneer because he doesn't run auctions. Yeah. He just works for an auction house.
Like evaluator or something like that.
Evaluator, anyway. Turns out he is there to evaluate the value of a white Bakelite phone, because black Bakelite is not worth much, but a vintage white Bakelite phone is still pretty good. And he's like, you know what, this is pretty good. I reckon you could get as much as £400-500.
For our younger viewers, you used to have to plug phones directly into the wall, and that's what he's trying to say.
Oh yes, it's a circle dial. What do you call that?
Just a handset?
Touch tone?
Yeah.
Touch tone, that's it. Yeah.
But Danny's giving 90s Hugh Grant a bit, just in his head and his manner. He's very sort of, oh gosh, like, I'm just so like stressed all the time, and oh blimey.
Yes, I have to come to Swansea and then
get my hotel paid for.
Is he not staying with them?
He's staying in a...
No, he stays in a bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole bit, where there's a whole sort of comedy beat where he says he's staying in a bed and breakfast, and she's like, are we paying for his hotel as well?
Yeah, I thought that... Turns out that they weren't, because he would just stay with them. Or...
Yeah,
no, he's definitely in like a... Because there's the bit where he's like, he has the view of the bay, and she's like, that's all the part that we own, apparently.
Yeah, he's on his all expenses trip to Swansea.
Yeah,
living the life.
And by the way, when he says £400 or £500, he means £400 at most.
Yeah. What is that today? Just over £1,000 now?
Oh, I should have done the bit, because there was an episode where we did that like loads, and it culminated in us adjusting 32 quid into today's currency. It was quite funny. £400.
I'm guessing, do you want to do, Zach, do you want to do a guess? I'll say 1,100. I'll say 1,100, just over a grand.
Well, yeah, let's play Prices Right.
Oh, no, I was going to say 800. I'm going to go lower.
It's annoying that Google doesn't do it automatically if you type it in. You have
to go like a website.
Okay, so $6.99.90.
Oh, damn.
10p off 700 quid.
Fair enough.
So not that much.
I know. Wow,
I win.
I thought inflation was really more out of control.
And I'll just do it now, because it'll help us, but basically 200 would therefore be 350 quid.
Right.
Keep that in your minds for later, 350 quid.
I'll do the train ticket. What was 134?
Oh, yes.
Sorry, brief pause just to use the inflation calculator.
234.
Oh, yeah, that's still pretty cheap, to be honest, a trip to Swansea.
And actually, I now only want to look up how much, if I wanted a first class ticket from London to Swansea, how much that costs.
I was just about to go on train line myself.
Okay, no, so if I got the next train from Paddington to Swansea, first class is £135.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They've kept that the same.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You probably don't get very much. I think you just get a bigger seat with a GWR first class.
It's true. Yeah, it's like Thameslink or EMR. You just get like a little thing that's like sectioned off.
But the Thameslink one, if you sit at first class at the back of a train, it's declassified, so you can have a regular ticket.
I know. I commute on Thameslink.
Same.
Back to the episode. Where are we?
We go to dinner. Now that she's said, "Oh, are you paying for his hotel as well?" Cut to dinner, and that's where we find out the crux of his show, which is that Max Vivaldi believes that he is entitled to own the whole of Swansea because of some old paper, an old certificate. That's the word that basically says that this land is all owned by you or your descendants.
It's a last will and testament, I believe, that's what's framed up.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also, why is he called Vivaldi? Why has he got
There's questions.
such a Italian name?
Oh, have to keep listening and find out.
He says it's legit. He says, it's not made up. It's legit.
We have like the family beefing over. We have our very sort of sitcom-y character interactions. Candy says this is where they have the Hechlo Dodley.
Yes.
That bit that they do.
So he's talking about the auction houses he's going to go to in the area, which is why he's staying for a night. I can't remember what they are, but they're all Llan towns. So in Wales, a lot of towns begin with the word Llan because that is Welsh for the parish of Saint. So Llanmari would be the parish of St Mary. Llandudno would be the parish of St Dudno. Llanharan is presumably the parish of St Haran.
Yes, I don't know much about Welsh saints, I'm afraid.
Surprising amount of them, Okay, so I've got to jump in and correct two things. Firstly, St Mary would actually be Llanfair, coming from Sant Maya, and then the M gets mutated to a V. Llandudno actually comes from St Tudno, the T getting mutated to a D. And Llanharan is actually St Aaron in English. Also, there are a lot of Welsh saints, and that is because in the early Middle Ages, sainthood was given out quite generously among Celtic Christians. And so a lot of these people would not really be considered as saints outside of Wales because, in the Vatican, there are stricter entrance requirements. Surprising amount of them,
Including Russell. Clan Russell.
The patron saint of bad story endings. Sorry.
It will be middle of the road story endings.
I don't expect you to be throwing those shots, Zach. That's normally my job.
No, I shouldn't. I love the end of Doctor Who Series 3. I do. That wasn't supposed to be sarcastic. The conversation moves on, but Danny is sort of transfixed on this last will and testament, and the camera zooms in as the conversation noise sort of becomes more and more distorted, and you go, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be important." He's sort of transfixed, and then in sort of like a cultural shock to me, everyone leaves the house after dinner. They sort of just all like bugger off. They've gone, right, I'm sort of so used to family sort of having dinner and then, we'll have a quiet night in. No, literally everybody leaves the house.
No, I was definitely up. Everyone buggers off family after dinner. I think because I said, doesn't the oldest daughter live by herself? The one who was in the taxi earlier. I don't think she lives with them.
Yeah, so she lives in a flat that she says it's at the marina, but it's actually just a flat with a view of the marina. Which is, listen, any flat is a flat, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they talk about how she's not in a fancy district, but you can see a fancy district. I'm sure it's a very like hilarious in-joke for Swansea residents.
Yeah, but I think, isn't there a famous Carl Pilkington quote about that exact thing?
I think you'll have to remind me.
Oh, it's one about how it's better to live in a building with a view of a beautiful building than to live in a building with a view of an ugly building. So it's better to live in the ugly building so you get to see them.
That's true.
It's like how Tour Montparnasse is the best view in Paris because it's the only sightseeing point in Paris where you can't see Tour Montparnasse if you're on top of it. Do you know about Tour Montparnasse?
Very vaguely. I think I know what we're talking about.
It's one of the most controversial tall buildings in all of history.
Wow.
It doesn't even look that bad. Parisians are just on some shit.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do. Oh god, we can spend the whole podcast criticizing Paris and Parisian. Let's keep it on Swansea for the moment.
Hey, did you know that they recently opened a station in Paris called Serge Gainsbourg?
Really?
I think that's cool. I think that's amazing. I love that.
All I know about him is that one video of like all the kids smoking, and he's like weeping as he watches.
Well, Owen and Zac, viens avec moi dans le Swansea. Yeah, there we go.
I'm always saying that.
I can't get the meter right because it's all in French, and I can understand French, but I'm not that good at. I can't do improv songs in French.
Shame. Really would have elevated the quality of the podcast.
No, absolutely. That and your rendition of the Welsh national anthem, which I believe is going to start this podcast. I think you sort of promised that early.
So where is everyone going to after dinner? The mum says she's going to one of the she says she's going to an auntie's house. Am I right there?
Yeah.
That's what she says.
She says she's going somewhere, but she goes somewhere else.
And we see a shot of her going inside a house with a man in, and through the window, we, the audience as peeping Toms, we see her kiss a man that is not her husband. Dun, dun, dun.
This is why I was not being a very attentive audience member, because I realised I didn't recognise her when she walked to the house. So I was like, what is the significance of this scene? I'd like wind back and be like, oh, it's the mum.
It's that point where I go, wait, isn't that the mum? Why is she... I would just go, oh, have I merely misinterpreted everyone's relationships? No, she's having an affair.
No, when I saw it, I was like, ooh, the music's swelling a bit. This must be an affair. Like, I clocked it pretty quickly.
I thought it was a new character. I was like, why is it so...
Because what I thought was going to happen is, you know, the two characters look at each other and you think, oh, this must be an affair, but then that might get subverted, but then they start kissing and I'm like, okay, no, this is definitely an affair. We're doing an affair, yeah.
Hers or hers.
At this moment we see, and was it Leo, the son? The son's called Leo, am I right there?
Yeah.
Yep. We see him go off. This is the moment where he see him go off, say he's off to do a school project, and he goes off to the factory dispatch unit, and we've already discussed that scene. So this is the moment when that happens.
Yeah.
Then Marie takes Danny to his B&B, and then says, "Ooh, you should come out with me. I'm going for a drink with my boyfriend." And I kind of thought, "Ooh, is she hitting on him?"
Yeah.
But she says she's got a boyfriend. Interesting vibe they've got there.
I'm sort of like, oh my god, they're setting up a big love triangle. This is going to be the cornerstone of the series.
That's what I thought as well, yeah.
There's going to be the boyfriend and there's going to be this suave auction man.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
We did talk before about how it's a bit more of a frenetic pace than Bob and Rose.
Well, Danny's far more interested in the story of the dad claiming to own all of Swansea. He's like, that's a great story for an article. He's sort of just so interested in that. Anyway, he agrees to go out for a drink with Marie and her boyfriend.
Actually, when she's describing, she quotes a bit of poetry.
Yes.
And is like, oh, I think someone said that. And he says which poet it was. And she's like, oh, I know. I just pretend not to know stuff. It's like, why? And it's like, to get boyfriends. And I was like, ooh. Because after this, she then says, I'm seeing my boyfriend. It's like, oh, okay. They're setting up something here. Maybe this boyfriend is a bit of a shit. What's going to happen?
As I said, I thought it was going to be like a series-long love triangle. Apparently not. I mean, not to spoil, but...
Yeah, so when they arrive at the bar, she goes in first. He just immediately dumps her, says that he'd rather go out with this girl called Tasha, and he doesn't want to cheat on her. So it's better this way, because he can dump her, and she's not being cheated on. He just has found someone better. And then Danny comes in and is like, what should I get you? Should I get you a drink? Because he's sort of aware that, oh no, they've called me out here. They've spent money on me. I should, at least buy them a drink. And so he's very much in that mind. No, I get it, because I'm shit at multitasking also. Like, I'm like, no, if I have like one objective, I will ignore any context that suggests that objective has changed. I'm like, I do not care about your relationship. Okay, I need to settle my debts. It's quite important.
That's why I was saying he's giving 90s Hugh Grant vibes. It's very like something that Hugh Grant would do in like a 90s rom-com where someone's just broken up and he's like, oh, do you want a drink? I don't understand why everyone's being so awkward.
At this moment, if I was Danny, I would have walked in, taken one look at Gethin and gone, oh my God, it's DS Ben Jones from Midsummer Murders.
Is it?
I don't know, I just got really excited. I was like, where do I recognise this guy? And it is a long-time sidekick from Midsummer Murders. I really enjoyed that.
Wow.
Sorry.
Did you know that Midsummer has one of the highest murder rates in the United Kingdom?
Yes.
It's a really rough place. The property values have fallen a lot.
Yeah. It's like, isn't it like a village as well? Like, it feels like the entire population should be dead at this point.
It's supposed to be a county.
Ah, okay.
It's my favourite fictional British county.
Wow. What's number 2? What just missed out on the top spot?
Wow, you have to tune in next week. I like the fact that clever bit of plotting that Danny misses the breakup and gives the opportunity for that scene for the breakup because he has a call from work, in inverted commas, but it turns out that he's obviously texted someone to call him back saying, ooh, what do you know about wills and property law, specifically Welsh property law? He keeps going, what do you know about this? Specifically this, but I mean specifically this. And what I mean is, specifically, I've got this one particular case that I want you to look into. And I know it's late at night, but do it now. Sort of setting things in motion whilst also allowing Gethin to dump Marie and tell her that he's with a girl called Tasha from the bank.
Yeah.
Because he works at the bank.
So a lot going on with Danny at the moment. He's only been in Swansea for like a few hours as well.
He thought when he saw that Bakelite phone that was it, and then he was just going to go back to his B&B, and that was going to be the extent of his trip. But no, he's been caught up in some crazy series of events. Speaking of crazy series of events, we cut back to the mum who is having her affair, and I believe the man is called Sam.
Yeah, so Sam is saying that, like, you got to leave your family, you got to leave your husband. She's like, oh no, can we just give it a bit of time? And he was saying, look, you said to wait until Leo was 16, and now that he's almost 16, you want to wait until he's 18. He's going to be 21 next. So she is hesitant to go her own way and leave Max.
I only know Sam by his title, but I think that might be a bit of a spoil. It's how the family knows him. But yeah, leave that.
What's his title? He's the Eggman.
Yeah. Which I thought was like something because he's like kind of bold. I thought it was something about that. It's like, no, that's actually.
Yes. Then she sort of hits back and says, this affair is nice. I like doing it this way, and you're not going anywhere. So, I don't particularly need to sort of uproot my life either. And so he says, well, maybe if you wait too long, I might stop being interested in what we have.
And he also, she also says that Candy's too stupid to like feed. If she leaves, like, Candy won't be able to look after herself. And he's like, she's always going to be like that. Just to wait for her daughter to grow a brain cell.
Oh yes, because Candy is I believe a middle child. So
yes, yeah.
So like she's always going to be infantile, even though because like I think she's about 20. And then Maria is like mid-20s, I think, is sort of the implication.
I think Joanna Page was like 26 when she filmed it, but yeah, I don't know if she's meant to be playing younger.
I mean, how old was the Leo actor? Because he was clearly not.
That's true, that's not a 15-year-old.
15.
I know 2004 was rough, that's not a teenager.
I like that joke in What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to be running a sort of presumably illegal / dodgy electronics dispatch ring, maybe it ages you.
Yeah, makes you look 30.
You want to look like someone who doesn't need to get ID'd. Because ID laws weren't as strict back then. Back then, if you looked 18, they didn't check,
But no, so Dr. Robotnik, that is the Eggman, he gives Val an ultimatum and basically says, you think I'm just on tap. Well, what if you're not careful, that tap will just stop? He doesn't quite say that, but he says that you think I'm on tap, and he's like, well...
He tries to do a metaphor and he fails, and then he's like, leave Max.
Now, to be fair, I did look up the age. Apparently the actor for Leo was 18.
What?
So it's not that far off. Yeah, apparently 90. Yeah, I'm to get my maths right. He's born in 1986. And it's 2004, so yeah, 18.
Yeah. So he might even have been 17 when they
That's wild, because like you watch
filmed it.
You watch like Sex Education, and like the actors are like mid to late 20s, but you kind of buy it. But then this one, he's 18.
Yeah, you're like,
if you watch Derry Girls, they're all 30-year-olds playing 16-year-olds, and they look like 16-year-olds. I think it's just something in those Irish genes.
Yeah.
crazy. Nicola Coughlan was like, 33,
Yeah.
and she looks 15.
I know there's one episode of Inside Number 9 where they have that adults playing teenagers, and it's really, really convincing. And then there's another episode where it's incredibly unconvincing.
There's that one episode of It's Always Sunny where they have a flashback where Danny DeVito's like 17 and they just still use him, but they put him in like a really bad wig.
Yeah.
The one person that hasn't gone out is Candy. And this was the point where I realised she was Stacey from Gavin and Stacey.
This is the point?
This is the point. See, I never really watched Gavin and Stacey, so I sort of
No, me neither.
I'm not that familiar with it, so it took me a while.
I only ever watched like the Christmas specials.
Yeah, well, same.
I never even watched those. Just sort of bits and pieces.
So she's talking about how basically, you know, she's had people love her, you know, she's had relationships. There was one that ended because the guy wanted to go to Cardiff, and she was like, I can't come with you to Cardiff, you know. And he was like, yeah, but like they've got bars, they've got, you know, attractions. It'll still be like Swansea. He was like, no, but all my friends are here, you know. I belong in Swansea. And then someone says that he saw him in a pub recently. And they were like, how can that be if he's in Cardiff? And she's like, oh, no, well, he just went for the day.
It's a good joke.
And then the scene ends there as well.
Yeah.
It's like the last line.
We find out...
The entire point of the scene is just for that punchline.
We find out, though, that she's got a big day tomorrow, and that she's like, oh, I'm shaking, I'm so nervous, I'm going to stay in and have an early night for my big day tomorrow, which we've had no other context for so far. So, what's Candy up for tomorrow? This is a bit of a frantic bit where we're just going from character to character. What they're up to in the evening. So Danny is saying to Marie that Gethin was a bastard, but then Marie's like, yeah, but he was a good catch, like he was good looking. Imagine if her next boyfriend could be fat and balding. So that's how she weighs up the scenario. And then Danny's like, you know, but like, I think he was punching with you. And she thinks he's making a pass and says, I don't even know you, walks away. The scene ends.
Yeah, it's quite disparaging for the Swansea dating scene. She's like, that's as good as it gets around here. Which is, again, Russell taking out his rage, I'm sure.
You think she lives in the middle of nowhere?
I know. I mean, it's only £134 to London, first class.
Exactly. You could have quite a good medium-distant relationship that way.
Yeah. She could go to Cardiff for the day.
That is only one way, though, remember. £130 one way.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Well,
yeah.
It is now. I don't know if the £130 was one way or return back then.
Well, maybe she goes standard. She can save some money. if she can slum it in standard from Swansea to London.
But it does paint a bit of a bleak scene for Swansea, saying that like the best you can do is a bastard with financial stability.
I know. Poor Russell having to date in that.
Even smaller pool if you're gay.
True.
Well, that's what I think. I believe he said that he wasn't dating. He was just sitting inside watching science fiction.
Who would do a thing like that?
And Crossroads.
So, Val visits her mum at the pub. She's like, you need to leave Max, which not very reassuring.
Yeah. Does she tells her mum that she's having an affair, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Her mum knows.
But and then she's like, but Mum, you stayed with Dad all these years. And she's like, yes, and it was a mistake.
Always with the dysfunctional mothers, Russell.
Yeah.
Yes, because you wouldn't. Val doesn't feel like an iconic RTD mum, but Val's mum does.
Yeah, it's very Jackie Tyler.
Yes.
I don't know who the woman sat next to Val's mum is, but I think she's an iconic mother character.
Yeah.
Because throughout this whole conversation, she's just going on about Val's wedding cake and how it was shop-bought, and actually how, heaven forbid, a shop-bought cake actually tasted quite nice.
Yeah, I think because this show is, the main character is Max, that means the mums are going to be one above his generation, and like
yes,
the kids are sort of secondary to that. I mean, Maria is sort of the other main character, but apart from her, it is sort of the mums have to be gran-aged now.
I was trying to work out if it was like just her mum's friend or her aunt. It was an actual relative.
Yeah.
I think it's friend.
Right.
I did think it could potentially be a lesbian lover, and then I remembered we are in the Mumbles, so...
No gays allowed, apart from Russell.
Well, it's no gays. Gay is fine, but you can't have a second one.
Just the one.
Just the one. Only one gay in the village.
Yeah.
This is when we find out that Val was a child bride, 18, she was pregnant when she got married, so obviously that was pregnant with Maria. Is it Maria? Not, I keep saying Marie.
It's Maria.
It's
Maria,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. I don't know, I'll be interested, because we had a similar complaint at the end of the Second Coming, Louis. Val says, oh, what about the kids? And then this is when Val's mum is like, well, there are children out there with no legs, there are children out there with Asperger's, there are children out there with something else,
yes.
And you're just moving just two streets down the road.
I was honestly happy to just not mention this because I think I said everything I needed to say.
I was also like, great, that's crazy. Just be like, some kids are autistic. I was like, you what?
To be fair, some kids do have a condition that is named after a Nazi. I don't wish that upon anyone.
No, true.
That's true, yeah. Didn't think we'd be mentioning Hans Asperger on this podcast, but there we go.
Well, it's funny because basically that's what it said on my diagnosis, because my diagnosis is from 2010. But that's not the term they use now.
Yeah, no, they cut it out.
But because of how the system works, I'll always be ascribed to that specifically because of the time at which my assessment was done.
No, I know some people where it still says Asperger's, yeah.
Was it, don't ask a man his salary, a woman her age, or Hans Asperger why the two categories are high functioning and low functioning. The point is, you can leave your kids, they're fine. It's not going to be the end of the world for them. They could go through worse shit.
They're also, maybe a better point to be made is, they're all pretty grown up. It's not like you're letting a 5-year-old be a child of divorce. Because their youngest child seems very, very able he would be very able to cope with his mum moving 2 streets down the road. And I also think Candy's so not there, I don't really think she'd even notice, to be quite frank.
Yeah. The youngest kid probably makes more than his parents.
Exactly.
Looks like.
I can't wait to find out what his deal is in future episodes.
Yes. We see Danny on the phone again in his... Here's the brain, my 2024 brain rot. Every time I say B&B, my brain tries to autocorrect it to Airbnb.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, that's disgusting. Because, the point of a B&B is the second B.
Breakfast, yeah.
Yeah.
An Airbnb, it should just be called an Airbnb because, there's no one serving you B in the morning.
There's no breakfast.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Mr. Vivaldi's running his Uber service.
I'm not that bad. Dad. No, Danny's back in his B&B. And this is the weirdest, as someone with a classics degree who has studied Heinrich Schliemann to death and has a lot of opinions on him, the fact that Danny then makes this comparison between the Vivaldi family and Schliemann, the man who discovered Troy after years of everyone saying that, no, Troy doesn't actually exist, it's all a myth. And he goes, no, just watch me, I'll find it. I wonder if this is intentional, because Schliemann is hated in the modern archaeological community because he went in there with dynamite and blew a load of stuff up just because he was like, I know what I'm doing. He didn't know what he was doing.
Typical Victorian.
I did hear from someone that basically 20th century archaeology was like a religious experience in that you go in with your preconceived idea of what should be the conclusion, and you find evidence to support that and ignore everything else.
Yeah.
And then later on, they were like, no, archaeology needs to be a science, but it was so ruined by the practice that it became very hard to do the science at that point.
Yeah, that's actually a very good description. So I'll be interested to see if the Vivaldi family turn out like Heinrich Schliemann.
They're certainly on their way.
My favourite Heinrich Schliemann fact is he called his children, he loved the story of Troy so much that he called his children Agamemnon and Clytemnestra, who, might I point out, are a married couple. Oh. So imagine you've got a brother and sister called Agamemnon and Clytemnestra.
He could have just called the daughter Helen.
Yeah, just anything, please.
And the son Troy.
Well, yeah, that's exactly. exactly.
That
would have been appropriate.
Of does not imply incest. It's much better that way.
Yeah, so weird scene, but this is Danny saying, everyone thinks this person is crazy, but these families spent a lot of money on me, so the least I can do is sort of have a little look into this. And it cuts to the next day where he's back at the Vivaldi house and he's inspecting the will, and he's sort of saying, at the very least, the parchment itself could be worth something. Even though I don't really think, even though Max has all these get-rich-quick schemes and he's willing to sell the white Bakelite phone, I don't think he'd sell that will and testament. I think it seems a little bit too sentimental for that.
Yeah. But none of that matters at all. We don't give a shit about that, Zach, because Candy is leaving for good this time.
The Candy plot line. 45-minute episode, and we have to devote at least sort of 5 minutes of it to this.
Because we meet our newest character, Big Claire, who is Candy's best friend. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, if you've seen like Aliens of London, you know the kind of jokes that immediately get made about her.
Yeah, so they make jokes at the expense of her weight. Even Leo, who they've been calling him gay this whole time, so maybe he should know better. That's the only thing we know about her at this point. We're not going to mention her again this episode of the podcast because there is literally nothing else to say.
Why don't we?
I'm sure she'll get some plot lines in a bit, but like that's it.
We can extrapolate that I think she's actually a very good friend to Candy.
Yeah, no, she does concile her and support her throughout this tumultuous day.
Before Candy and Claire leave for their big adventure, this is the moment where I'm going to bring in 73 yards because RTD reuses a joke.
Yes.
Yeah, where Danny English-splains, I believe is the technical term.
Anglo-splains.
Sice-splains, yeah.
Anglo-splain, there we go.
Yeah.
What a scanner is to Leo, and says, do you know where I could get one? It's this device for sort of scanning a piece of paper so I can put it into. And we know at this point that this boy runs a electronics dispatch ring. So the son says, he gives him some instructions and says, you can bugger off to England where you've got technology. Or you can just go upstairs and use mine.
I gotta say, Anglo-splain, it's a word my dad could use being Welsh, but it's also a word my mum could use being Quebecois.
Oh, that's fun.
Because English Canadians are called Anglos.
And every time we have a guest on the podcast, Louis tells them that his mum's Quebecois.
Just as I mentioned, I'm Welsh every time. I was going to say sice-splain is what I can use. Sice is the Welsh word for... I can't remember if it's for the English language or an English person. So it's like sice. S-A-I-S. This is my very rusty Welsh.
Okay.
So yeah, sice-splain as well.
The whole bit about wanting to find out about Welsh land law specifically is a bit of Walesology. What's the Latin word for Wales? How can we make that or the Greek word for Wales? It would be.
I don't think the Greeks had a word for Wales.
Yeah, I don't think they knew.
Okay.
I think it should be British. Wasn't it just
Gaulology, maybe?
According to Google Translate, Welsh in Latin is Cambrica.
Oh yeah,
Cambria.
Cambriology. So I know in French they just call it Pays Gal, and it's I thought you were the Pays Gal because of the Gauls.
Yeah, because people talk about Precambrian and stuff like that, don't they?
Yeah,
I think that's a historical term.
Is that not geological? The Cambrian explosion?
Oh yeah. It's to do with rocks or something.
Well, the Cambrian explosion was one of those periods where a lot of new stuff evolved and a lot of new life developed because the conditions were right. You have these extinctions and these explosions. You know the meme of the old troll faces, and then a lot of them die off, and then the Wojaks evolve from the ones that survived.
Oh yeah, I've seen.
That's analogous to how
I've seen that meme.
Animals evolve after extinction events.
We've really wide-ranging conversation on this point. We started out talking about a scanner in Wales, and we've gone to the Cambrian explosion.
Yeah,
I've just done the research. So Cambria is a Anglicization of the Latin word Cambria, which is a Latinization of the modern Welsh word for Wales, which one of you guys can say because I will.
Cymru.
There you go.
Or Gymru if the first letters have been mutated, obviously.
Yeah.
So you know about mutations.
So
sure,
it's
Everyone knows about mutations.
Yes, so it's
Welsh language mutations is common knowledge.
So it's actually a coincidence. This sounds so. All this talk of Cambrian explosions is actually a complete coincidence. It actually is a Latinization of the Welsh word for Wales.
The Cambrian explosion, when a lot of people suddenly became Welsh.
Where are what we done? Okay, so Scanner. We've had Anglo-splaining. Dr. Robotnik is in the kitchen. By which I mean Sam is delivering eggs. He's just stood...
Yes, the Eggman has arrived.
We are going to go on some tangents for this next bit, because it turns out what Candy's big day is she's auditioning for, if my timelines are right, it's Pop Idol, might be X Factor, depends when the switch happened.
It looks like royalty-free Pop Idol to me, with the sort of backgrounds. It's definitely like meant to be Pop Idol.
The background has a lot of stars in it.
That definitely looks like Pop.
It's the audition room.
Pop Idol wasn't ITV, was it?
No, I think it was. I think what happened is Simon Cowell ditched Pop Idol to make X Factor.
Right.
And there was like some legal stuff there, because obviously that's kind of a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
But then they were able to like settle with some contracts where he would stay on American Idol. That was Pop Idol, but that wasn't the X Factor. Even though nowadays people think American Idol is just American X Factor, but actually there was this little schism. But to settle the legal trouble, he agreed to stay on American Idol and do X Factor in the UK. And it's like, how are they different shows? They're exactly the same.
I know, it's the branding.
But Pop Idol was about finding a pop star, and X Factor was about finding that person with that undefinable
talent for singing pop music. Yeah.
And then you've got Britain's Got Talent, which is about finding people with talent, often singers, which again is completely different.
You can have any talent, but also there's going to be a singer in the finale. But the point is that it's the singer that might not, be conventionally pop for X Factor or Pop Idol. And then the voice is somehow that, but also not the same.
Unless was it Britain's Got Talent that One Direction came like second?
That was X Factor.
No, because X Factor also had groups. So, X Factor, you could also be in a group.
Yeah.
And I think
okay.
Simon would coach for groups, and then someone would coach for ladies, and someone would coach for men, and I would feel very left out as an NB, but
And the over 25s.
Oh yeah, it's the geriatric section.
The Twinkdeath.
I know, me in the Twinkdeath category. On X Factor.
It was insane being about 6 years old and watching X Factor and thinking that 25 is ancient. I was really... The propaganda was strong there.
It definitely dates this sort of scene very much to the mid-2000s, her auditioning for this sort of Pop Idol-y X Factor. Like, she'd be going out for Love Island or something these days.
So the entire thing also is filmed like handheld, which is not something that happens anywhere else in the episode. It's a handheld sort of walk through run through the corridor of all the people lining up to audition. And we go into there, and she's doing like Reach Up for the Stars by S Club 7. Fun fact, S Club are playing at Brighton Pride this year.
Oh, right.
But the thing is, I think with Brighton Pride, a lot of the stuff is like, this is just like mediocre pop from 20 years ago. That's not gay. You're just... that's like calling me a comedian just because I feel weird about class and I went to Cambridge. Like, it's not quite the same thing.
Manchester Pride is being headlined by Jessie J and Claire from Steps.
Oh my... Jessie J did Brighton Pride a few years ago. She went on after Grace Jones. I was there because Grace Jones is amazing. Grace Jones is a goddess. And it was funny because in a drag act earlier in the day, like one of the compere said, like, who here is excited for Grace Jones? Woo! And then who here is excited for Jessie J? Woo! So it was sort of the who are the real heads.
That was that over 25 category cheering for Jessie J, I think.
But I remember when learning about the lineup, I was like, come on guys, we have Charlie XCX now, we have Chapel Row now, we don't need these anymore. Like, they served their purpose, but we've had an upgrade since then,
I guess they'll only do London Pride.
Yeah, there's London.
I think
shaking my fists for the audio listeners.
I know, it's very mind coded.
But this is where we see Candy's not a particularly good singer, so that she's sort of out of the audition. She's basically saying, and we've all seen the type, I don't need them in there, I'm going to be a superstar, you better remember this face.
I think the handheld is like to imitate that sort of style, like in those shows where someone gets in there like following them down the corridor and she's like yelling at the camera, like, stuff like that.
As if we're watching. And then that's where we see her and Claire sit on, like, by the water. Claire's actually really lovely and says, you're just too unique. You were too individual for them. You know, you're just too good. They just want bland pop. And then she's like, oh, you could go and work here, and that's doing £5 an hour. You can go work there. I can't remember where it says she suggests you work.
Phone sex.
Oh, is that what it...
Yeah, it's a phone sex line, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I believe. I said, no, yeah, because she says, oh no, I'm not doing that. And then she put like, what kind? And then I think Claire says lesbian sisters. Unless I'm just hallucinating this, but it's something like that. They said like they would have to do like something as a couple, and she's like, yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
As I recall,
I'm with you now.
It's really weird if I've just made that up by myself. I'm pretty sure that's in the episode.
Louis, do you remember this moment?
No, because I was kind of still reeling from the X Factor bit, and I was like typing stuff in my notes, so I didn't quite catch it.
No, I promise you, Div, I did not make up lesbian sisters.
So maybe it happened.
I hope it does.
So anyway, let's stop gaslighting Owen and
wow,
gaslighting myself now.
No, it's probably very true. No, probably. Now that you say it, it does ring a bell. I think I just misheard it.
Ah, yeah, that'll be it.
Claire mumbled because she's from the Mumbles.
So Maria does some hot girl shit. She goes to the office where Gethin works. Gethin is her boyfriend, by the way. How does she get in?
Maria works at the estate agents, so she stands outside the bank and she waits outside. I think during lunchtime. And sees Tasha, this girl that Gethin supposedly is dating now, goes up to Tasha and is like, you know, how could you do this? Steal him from me. And Tasha has legitimately no idea what's going on. So then I presume Tasha takes Maria inside.
Yes, we cut inside because she confronts her outside. Yes.
And it turns out that Gethin just pulled the first name out of his head because he said it was better for him to tell her that there was someone else rather than just say, oh, you know, I don't want to be with you anymore. And then obviously Maria's like, no, I think that's actually worse. You lying to me is a lot worse.
Tasha takes it quite well.
Yeah, at first she's also disgusted, but then she's like, so like of all the women in this office, you picked my name.
And there's a fantastic shot.
Yeah, outside the office.
Just out of focus in the background through the glass in Gethin's office. And then Maria walks out of shot and the focus shifts onto Tasha and Gethin sort of getting really flirty in the office. We then get a really interesting history lesson with Max and Danny sort of on this hill looking over the entirety of Swansea as to just how Max's claim to Swansea is legitimate, including the answer to why his last name is Vivaldi.
Finally.
Yes.
Deep ball.
His family started off Welsh, owning all the land, and then the landowner died and all the house staff fled because they didn't want to be accused of his murder, and so he sat there he laid there in his bed rotting for a month. By then, all the people around him had taken the land and carved it up. And that was kind of the end of that. I think because the land his will was that it would go to his firstborn son. I think because his son was like a baby at that point or something.
Yeah.
And eventually his family made it to Italy, where they, you know, had stuff, and there are records of them being in Italy still with the Welsh surname. And eventually they came back with an Italian migration to Swansea. I wonder if that bit is like true. Because there's like Italian people in Scotland.
Yeah, this sounds like true. Especially, did they say it's... No, because it's prior to World War II. Because I know a lot of Italian people came over after World War II.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I think he says like then like both world wars happened, blah, blah, blah. All of this history happened while this kind of injustice was always just kind of there.
I know. It gets quite sad. It gets quite depressing. I think this is where Russell kind of... He reveals the sort of substance under this quite...
He makes us sympathise with a landlord.
Yeah, it's true, unfortunately. With a feudal landlord and all.
Yes, a lord, land.
Yeah. Because Max, up until this point, he's been just quite a sort of broad comedy character. And I think like Russell brings in some real substance. There's like a real sort of sadness kind of underpinning him. That just like they let it bubble to the surface a little bit before it like kind of goes back into him doing bits again.
I was going to say, on the note about Italian migration to Wales, there is a Wikipedia page called Welsh Italians, and the photo is the Welsh Labour Party politician who is currently the MP for Gower. And under the list of other notable Welsh Italians is Bella Lasagna from Fireman Sam.
No, they did.
Who owns who owns an Italian cafe.
Now that feels racist.
Like one of Max's ancestors who moved back to Swansea.
Naughty Norman.
I always forget Fireman Sam is Welsh. National pride.
Oh, I don't. I sometimes mistakenly think Postman Pat is Welsh because of some kind of mission creep, you know.
True. They do have very similar vibes.
They do. But one has more action. Like fire, sick.
They do.
Post, what the hell is that?
Well, he has like a helicopter now. He's got like a whole like base, is what I've seen. not to sound too boomer, but you know, not my Postman Pat back in my day. It was him and his black and white cat.
Yeah,
his van.
It's revisionism. Yeah.
Exactly.
They're trying to distance themselves from the real life post office.
Yeah.
I was going to say that that's an alternate universe where they didn't privatize the post office and they funded it more. Now they have helicopters.
If a modern spitting image was created by someone with more than half a brain cell, and that is a direct call out to the guy who brought back spitting image, you know who you are.
I'm happy to bully Matt Ford on the podcast if you want. Yes.
We're saying his name. If Matt Ford had more than half a brain cell, he would have done Postman Pat, post office scandal. Come on, it's puppets, it's politics stuff.
No, exactly.
Right there.
That's the one person that the satirist won't touch is Postman Pat. They'll have you, the post office the service in his hometown will have you disappeared.
Well, exactly. You don't want to piss off the post office. No, so it's at this point where the name gets changed to Vivaldi purely because one of Max's ancestors wanted to open an Italian cafe in Swansea, but thought that naming it after his own Welsh surname wouldn't sound very authentic. So changed his name to Vivaldi via deed poll. Yeah. Which does, I feel a little bit cheated by, because we were told at the top of the episode that it's really their name. It's like, no. Your great-grandfather.
Max is like, it's real, and then Maria is like, we changed it. It's like, you know that Maria is going to be right. I'm sorry. Like,
okay.
So I thought it was a nice, satisfying sort of way to kind of bring back that thread. Because like you think like stories about how, like, for example, Guy Fieri, his family name was actually Ferry, but only because it had been changed from Fieri.
Absolutely.
In Ellis Island, they would change all the surnames and stuff, you know, to make them sound more English. And so he actually changed it back to Fieri to honor his ancestors. And so I thought, like, that is so, like, I can believe that. Like, like someone I know has a surname that is not their original surname because one of their like ancestors was like a thief, was a robber, and changed it to evade the law, which is sick, which is awesome. But yeah, I can totally believe it.
Yeah, and then that's how Max is fully able to trace his ancestry back to the present day. But because of squatters' rights, he says unfortunately there's no claim.
Yes,
and they'll have a laugh about how the Vivaldi family must be cursed.
So that seems to be kind of the end for Danny. He's like, okay, cool, we've had our story. We'll get back to you. We'll email you. We'll keep you posted. And so as he's kind of going back to the train station, he finds that someone from the auction house has arrived in Swansea. And then he's like, well, we're all here. The entire kind of legal department of the auction house has arrived because actually this whole Max Vivaldi situation is big and it's significant and they care about it. You know, they care about this one random Welsh guy, and we're like, why is that? Why is that, guys?
I'm trying to think.
It's because the whole thing is true. It's real.
Yeah.
He actually owns all of Swansea.
Who could have guessed it?
Yeah. And so, like, they are like, we need to see Max. He kind of runs off because he's like, now, well, I need to find Max first.
He's doing the Hugh Grant rom-com flustered sprint again. He's doing the very sort of...
Yes.
Doing something that usually happens near the end.
But instead of professing his love to someone, it's telling them they're a landlord now. Like.
Congratulations, you have a fiefdom.
Yeah.
But before he can get to the Vivaldi house, we see that Max has decided to go fishing, except that he's never expressed any interest in fishing before, and so has bought all the stuff with the money that he sold the white Bakelite telephone for. And how much did he sell it for, Louis?
200 or 350 in today's money, which is mad because that's like half of what it had been valuated at.
Yeah.
But he really just wanted to go fishing.
No one knows about the fishing, and so Val is like the only person who sees him in his fishing gear, and she rightfully has a go at him because Leo could have used that money for his school stuff. You know, Candy could have used that money for something.
Typing course, I think she says.
Typing course, yeah.
They could have bought a new washing machine.
Yeah. Firstly, you want to at least break even on the cost of evaluation.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Which is the fee plus for train fare.
And the B&B price.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would be paying for the B&B, because that's to see some auction houses that are separate. I feel like they could.
That's true.
It was implied with that gag where she's like, we're paying for his hotel as well. But to be fair, they don't ever say it outright.
No, yeah,
it's true.
For the sake of argument, even if we just accept the fee and the train fare, it's still like kind of a tight margin. Like you want to be putting all that money into stuff. And so they argue, and Candy, who's there, dejected after a day. So he storms out to go fishing, and then she says, "Oh, shut up."
Yeah, and the mum kind of snaps finally. And
yeah, that answers her question. What about the kids?
Yeah.
And what particularly about Candy, who needs her? She's the real reason, and it's just Candy's just like, no. So she rips off her apron. She hangs it very neatly on the wall, runs out of shot, runs back into shot, pulls it off, and I almost go, oh my god, is Val having a second thought? She's going, no, I can't abandon the family. And instead she throws the apron to the ground and starts packing her suitcase, writes an envelope, and leaves. And we see this is sort of intercut with the other things that happen.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we see her leave the house, sneak out of the house with her suitcase, completely oblivious to everything else that's going on, and gets into the car with Sam, Dr. Robotnik, the Eggman.
Sam the Eggman.
And they drive away.
Goodbye, Val.
I think while this is happening, like, Danny was there for a bit. I think it's intercut with a lot of other stuff, like Danny's running. Candy manages to have a thought. It was a big moment for her. That's the conclusion of her arc for this episode.
Yes, so now on to Danny's story. He runs in and is like, where is Max? And then she's like, he's gone out fishing. So where? I don't know. He's like, it's okay, I can wait for him. I can't wait for him. Where is he? And it's very funny because he's like, I believe in you. You can think. You can, snap your two brain cells together. And what's funny is in this moment, we realize that Candy is sort of the only person dumb enough to have the savantism to get inside Max's brain. Max's impulsive brain, because he's going fishing. He knows nothing about fishing. Where is he going to go? She thinks, burger. He had a burger, so he'll be at the burger van. Yeah. And that works.
I mean, he does tell Val that he's going to have a burger for dinner.
Oh, okay.
And Candy must have overheard it.
It's the one time Candy's paying attention.
sorry, not to rain on the thesis.
But because he asks, where is he gone fishing? And it's like, there's no way to know that, but she does manage to.
But he will be around the burger van. No, it's very true.
But the fact that she just thinks, explaining fishing to Candy, imagine a burger.
She's like a proper Professor X moment where she's focusing.
But then Maria comes back to the house, and she's chatting to Leo. She's like, where's Dad? What's been going on?
Oh, Danny runs out past her.
Yes.
And she was trying to apologise to him, but he's off down the street.
And apparently, because Danny used Leo's scanner to send off the last will and testament, Leo got CC'd in on the email that said it's all real. And so he reads it, he shows it to Maria. So she then is running down the street. And so we got this crazy bit where Danny's just about to catch up with Max. We see Maria running. We then see all these black vehicles sort of driving alongside on their way to also catch, also on the way to the burger van.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Murray Gold is doing his absolute best.
Maria's the eldest daughter, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she walks in on her mum packing and tells her that, oh, by the way, I broke up with my boyfriend, but Maria's completely oblivious to the fact that her mum's packing a suitcase to leave. Just goes oh, by the way, I broke up with my boyfriend, leaves, and the mum's just kind of okay, and keeps packing.
Yeah.
She's just nobody cares about me, so I'm going to leave.
Is it established what happens to the person who gets to Max first? Because obviously it's important. Obviously you want to get the information to him, but because it's sort of a bit of a race, I'm like, what's first place prize?
Yeah, just the opportunity to tell him first, I guess.
Danny wants to get there first because he's got this established connection, and he wants to be able to break the news in a way that won't sort of cause him to go into a state of shock.
Yeah.
Whereas I think then Maria must be no, it's not true. You can't get my dad's, he's a bit crazy.
Yeah.
You can't get his hopes up like this because it will crush him. Because she's going, this isn't true. This is a load of nonsense.
Whoever controls the Max controls Arrakis.
My Swansea.
But no, then they get there.
Oh, we should point out that he's like, his idea of fishing is that he's fishing like off the pier.
Yeah.
Into like, I think just on the docks or something, like somewhere where there's probably not going to be a huge amount of fish.
Yeah, because the point of the fishing is like, well, we could make money off of this. We could sell fish. And it's like, that like fishing is already an industry. Like it's a thing that people do in large scale operations, and he doesn't even know that. And it's like, I don't think that when I go to Brighton Beach and I look at the fishing groin and I see all the men on the groin,
pause for love.
Like I don't think they're there to turn a profit. Like it's
my Swansea knowledge again is not that good, but he's basically doing this in like the city centre.
Yeah,
I think
there's too much civilization going on around him for any good fish.
Yeah. At least Cardiff Bay has a big breakwater you can go on, like Swansea.
Yeah, true. He got his burger, though, and that's really all that matters.
Yes.
But Danny finally does get to interrupt Max's fishing and reveal the news that the squatters' right argument doesn't stand because, according to the Will and Testament, a feudal duty has to be paid by those living on the land, and it hasn't been paid, which means technically the Vivaldis still have claim to the land.
Yes. Which is interesting because I was thinking about this, and I know this is a work of fiction, but is the point of squatters' rights not that if people don't disturb you, then it becomes yours? Like even if you owe something, the debt eventually doesn't matter because it hasn't been, collected or anything. Like
I'm trying to think. I know it like varies by country.
Yeah, I lived in Bristol for like 10 months. I'm just trying to remember back to that. Like
I want to say, I think it's like 10 years or something in the UK. And then if you then you have squatters' rights. I think that's me. Do not take this as legal advice.
Do not take the 2004 comedy drama Mine or Mine as legal advice.
Unless you do have a will entitling you to the town of Swansea, the city of Swansea, in which case, that's probably legit.
Yeah.
No, we should get a little lawyer onto the podcast maybe at some point during this series to discuss this.
Yes.
Get a Welsh lawyer.
And so we finally get the kind of the reveal that like, yes, he owns Swansea, but then Maria chimes in that there's someone you've forgotten, Max. Because this is quite good, because earlier in the episode, Val's mum mentions that Max's mum is dead. Max's mum was kind of driven crazy by like their antics and the family's antics. And so you sort of expect that like old people die at the same time, the fact that I've only ever had two grandmothers is a bit of counter evidence to that. But you kind of expect that, like, and also because women live longer than men on average, But turns out that Max's dad is still alive, and so with 15 seconds to go, we get a character introduction. Just cuts to a random old guy who looks even madder than Max. Forget Mad Max. Tom Hardy who? This is Madder Max.
Please, some respect for the rightful owner of Swansea.
And he's got his one line is something like, "Oh, I own Swansea."
I think he says basically mine or mine. So he says like it's all mine or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah.
He says, "Wow, plot just happened. Cool."
Yeah, that's the sort of final punchline of the episode.
Yeah, very Brechtian.
No, it's a fantastic. You get a great sense of that last character, and it's a great cliffhanger. Because there's so many questions that I want to see it explored. Like, is Val going to feel like an idiot that she's left her husband on the day that it turns out that...
Yes, because when Max is celebrating, he says, "This is amazing. Me, your mum, your brothers, you..."
He specifically says your patient mother.
Your patient, yeah. It's like this momentous, glorious thing. But, she, the mining for diamonds meme?
Oh, yeah.
like she stopped mining just as she was about to hit the diamonds.
I know. She nearly had it all.
If she'd have been patient for one more night. No, and I do think Maria and Danny, I say relationship, I don't mean romantic, although it could be. I think their dynamic's really interesting, their conflict there. I think that's going to be interesting to see plan out. And if actually this claim to Swansea is actually legitimate, I still think that's questionable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see, because it's such. I mean, I think Russell knows it's quite a ludicrous premise. I know that, judging from his other writing, he doesn't have that great of an understanding of the way some laws work.
Yes,
but like for this one, I think he knows that he's playing with like quite a silly premise.
I reference Years and Years far too much, so I won't this time. But I think you might be referring to a certain moment in Years and Years. Is that right?
I was thinking of, not to stereotype myself again, but I was thinking of the bit in Doctor Who where they call the president-elect.
Okay.
Which is incorrect. Apparently, that's just what they're called until they're actually like sworn into office. But Russell thought that was just like a longer title for the president.
Yeah, like it's like sovereign. Oh god, what is it when your queen married to a
consort?
Prince consort.
Yeah, you got president consort and president sovereign.
It's like you've been elected president but not sworn in. So it's like, why would he be there for the?
Well, exactly. Technically, this is actually loosely based on a true story.
Oh.
And it's based off the Welsh pirate Robert Edwards and his descendants' claim to real estate in Lower Manhattan, New York City.
Oh yeah, I've heard. Yeah, I think that sounds familiar. I didn't realise that was that.
So it is inspired by a true story, but obviously not in Swansea.
Wow.
Did they get it?
So that is episode 1 of Mine All Mine on the Davis on Davis podcast. A lot of repeated words now.
Mine on mine. Watching Davis
on Davis.
Mine on mine, watching Davis.
Davis.
Davis all Davis.
With Davis and Davis. Yeah, people say we're alike. They say we've got the same name.
Well, we've both got claims to Swansea.
What do we think? Yay or nay on Mine on Mine episode 1?
Yeah, I liked it.
I think a strong yay. I actually really enjoyed it. I realised, again, I don't know if controversial.
I thought it was solid. As I said, for something this comedic to be lasting an hour, I'm normally a bit.
Yeah.
But I got my seal of approval. What about you, Zach?
No, I thought it was good. Will it be able to sustain itself over 6 episodes? That'll be the question. I think we're going to have to explore. I mean, there have been very brief seeds of things. So we'll see those come back. But I do really I love Candy, fantastic character. I want to see more of her. Love the bits of Leo that we've seen. So I think some great character stuff. Let's hope the show can sustain itself across 6 episodes.
Does anyone know what this show is most remembered for?
I do not.
Oh, okay. So this is technically the first show in the revived era of Doctor Who.
Is it because Ianto's in one of the later episodes? I looked on the IMDb.
No.
It's because Ianto Jones is a character in this, and there is a reference made to this in Torchwood, which means this has been grandfathered in.
I see.
As part of the continuum.
What? But we're not supposed to be watching any Whoniverse. Oh, sorry, we've wasted your time, Owen. We can't broadcast this now.
I know, we're just going to erase it. This is unreleased episode.
Well, what I did is I did a sneaky legal thing, which, fitting for the show, which is where I actually transferred ownership to Owen for this episode and the next 5 episodes.
I see, yeah, so then it
doesn't even have to show up, just has to own the podcast. It works because it's Davis on Davis.
Yeah, no, okay, yeah, I endorse that. I like a little bit of legal trickery.
We don't make any money, so we don't have to pay him anything for it.
Oh,
and it's good.
I sent over the thing about feudal duty or whatever it's called. I think I'm owed that.
I might have gone to spam. I'll check that out afterwards. Yeah.
Oh, fabulous stuff. Right, I think that's it for today. Where can we find you, Owen, when we want you?
Oh, there's my sort of professional stuff. It's game.central on TikTok and Game Central on YouTube if you want specifically me doing stuff about video games. My personal stuff is the same as it was last time. I haven't changed anything. It's oreugene on TikTok and then Owen everywhere else on YouTube and Twitter. I still think is my handle on there.
Wonderful.
Fabulous stuff.
And you can follow us on Instagram at Davis on Davis. You can follow me on Instagram, Louis on Air, Twitter, Louis on the Air. Zach, this goes out on the 3rd of August. So
I have to. I'm actually not. I'm going to plug something that isn't real. Can I go back? I've actually come up with something. I haven't done so for a long time.
Yes. Honestly, if they're not coming to your Fringe show yet, they're not coming. So
okay,
let's do it. Let's bring it back.
So I actually, I've decided to open up an animal sanctuary, but we've decided that the best way to go about this is to really focus in on one group of animals. And so we're looking at birds, and our pilot scheme is going to be about reintroducing white swans to salt water. And so we've set up a whole sanctuary. And so you can find us at the Swansea.
Wonderful.
Brilliant.
I'll show myself the door.
I think I'm going to up the feudal dues for that one.
Yeah, that's it from me.
Oh, and that's it from us too.
Thank you so much,
Bye.
everyone, for listening.
See y'all next time.
Bye, guys. Woo.
I've got similar law. I've also got law about family law about also once owning part of Wales, but I'll save that for the actual podcast. I know, yeah.